Playing variant, specifically Blair Witch. Same here.
See if we can find a way to contact Sheriff Diane. Looks like it started without us, huh? Let's get moving. Let's find this kid. It's been through enough already. Sure, Anthony. First come, first served. Yeah, I'll call Lanny once I'm in the forest. Not now. Give him a call once I'm in the forest. Not now. Give him a call once I'm in the forest. Not now. I'm gonna call once I'm in the forest. Looks like they have the whole forest covered. Not now. I'm gonna call once I'm in the forest.
Estoy tanto la idea de imaginar que alguien... Basically, you right.
There's somebody on the loose smacking people in the back of the head. Everybody get inside. Everybody get inside. Dang.
Man, spit out the water.
Frick is wrong. Hey, Bobby, cut that one out. That's what I'm saying, bro. We gotta sell at least 10,000. Help! Help! I heard you was talking mess, my guy. Get back! Get back! Come here! Frick that. I'm still alive? Please! Please! Uh-oh. Step back on him. Pop! Hi. Yeah, I'm just gonna do 2 large pepperonis, 1 pineapple. I think they like the video. 12 million views, girl! I mean, they was calling me the booty look. So I like round cheeks. What about it? Something strong cricket here. Welcome.
The fucking head turn.
Brand new record. I got a brand new saxophone.
Bro.
Now we can begin our day. Moving his product. You're not mine forever. My Can I make some money first? Good evening. Move out the way. Watch yourself, Danny boy. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We gotta go back to the beginning. Before we get started, you already know what it is. Corey X Kitchen, baby. Listen, Corey X Kitchen on that schedule one. Everybody looking at me, I'm the Shogun. And I show guns if you...
It's just fucking hilarious.
De-extinction is more about the preservation of species that are on the brink than it is bringing species back. We're not going to have a Jurassic Park scenario here, folks. That is the first time that a dire wolf has howled in 10,000 years. On the path to all of our de-extinction projects, we try to pair the animal we're de-extincting with that of its like closest living relative or cousin species that's threatened. And you probably know about a lot about red wolves, right? And there was a recent article that came out talking about red wolves and their population collapse. Well, one of the things we invented was actually cloning from blood. So the cloning process is typically moderately invasive, right? You have to take like an ear pine.
I love that.
Now being able to isolate as no one's ever done that. Yep, they did it. Those are not special effects. Definitely not AI. There's no question about it. Those are living, breathing animals. But are they dire wolves? And what does this mean for conservation? Let's dive in.
It means people own them as pets.
By this point, I'm sure you guys have seen all over the internet the trending videos, the trending articles, and the news. The colossal biosciences has brought back the dire.
It means that people own them
is here
and train them.
And
oh boy!
As a wildlife presenter, I think it's only fair that I bring you guys this side of the story from the Brave Wilderness perspective. Now, for a little bit of background context, we have been working with Colossal Biosciences for the past year. I had the amazing opportunity to visit their facility in Dallas, Texas, sat down with CEO Ben Lamb to talk about this project. Dinosaurs. Will it ever be possible? So we get this question a lot. Sat down with Chief Science Officer Beth Shapiro.
Genetic engineering at its very simplest is really just our ability to go into a genome, and that is the chromosomes that live inside the nucleus of our cells, and make tiny little tweaks to the sequence of A's and C's and G's and T's that will hopefully have some effect on how an organism looks or acts or tastes or runs around, something like that.
That's how it works.
Chat.
I'm not even kidding you. That's literally how it works in science.
Expansive biosecurity facilities that cover thousands
Even though
of acres that can replicate these Pleistocene era ecosystems in a really cool way. And what dire wolf represents is this amazing symbol of hope for us to be able to show, here's the power of technology, here's what humans can do for wildlife today.
I gotta say, the work that they're doing there at Colossal is phenomenal, and I learned so much in my time spent with them. And at this time, they did not officially have a dire wolf yet, so it's only fair for me to say, was I skeptical? I saw a lot of cool stuff in the lab, saw a lot of cool things in petri dishes, but were they actually going to pull it off? Yes, it appears that they have. Now, the footage that you guys have seen for the past couple of weeks is historical. But what is a dire wolf? Like, we gotta start right at the top. For most of us, we think of the dire wolf as being something that was in Game of Thrones, right? A giant wolf that was vicious and could rip the head off of a man in a single bite. But truth be told, dire wolves were not nearly as big as Game of Thrones made them out to be. In fact, they weren't much bigger than the largest gray wolves that we have today. Now, they lived between 125,000 and 10,000 years ago in the late Pleistocene era. But when it came to the extinction of these animals, it wasn't necessarily due to anything that was human-oriented, but more so a competition for resources. Large herbivores that these wolves would have been feeding on began to die out. Therefore, it made it more difficult for these wolves to evolve, and therefore we got the gray wolf. And that's where this whole story begins. How close the gray wolf is to the actual dire wolf. So, before we get into what de-extinction is, let's just talk about an animal that's been pushed to the brink of
So
extinction.
I'm a big fucking fan of like how science is and how biology works. So this is the best I can get.
Let's start with how
Because I'm not currently in school.
Now, Colossal Biosciences is getting attention for bringing back the dire wolf, this de-extinction process. But the truth is, de-extinction is leading towards conservation of things like the gray wolf, and specifically for Colossal Biosciences, the American red wolf. Now, what you may not know is the American red wolf is on the brink of extinction currently. You guys know that over the years, we've done a lot to try to support wolf conservation. I got the chance to work with Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center and a number of other wolf groups. I've been in enclosures with wolves. I've seen them up close and personal. They're beautiful animals. But since the dawn of mankind, they have had a villainous reputation. Why have they been painted like that? I don't know. Is it because they have teeth? Is it because they hunt in packs? Is it because they howl at the moon? No matter what your opinion is about wolves, wolves are incredibly important to our ecosystem.
I think people struggle with the idea that there are carnivores that they have to share space with. And this is one of the reasons that carnivorous species have been among the most likely to go extinct in evolutionary history. But we now know a lot more. People have gotten so much more in tune with how important ecosystems are to be robust and biodiverse in order to be sustainable, that I think there's a lot of sort of regret that sits in us, in many of us, that says, we should still have more of these carnivores that are around. We should still have more of these predators. We have really messed with ecosystems in such a way that everything is really out of balance.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the push from the conservation community to really have wolves be reintroduced into these areas comes from this feeling like ecosystems are healthier and they're more robust and they're biodiverse when you have the predator in the ecosystem.
So there were two pieces of important genetic material that their scientists were able to extract from: a single direwolf tooth and a direwolf skull, where they pulled DNA from something known as the petrous bone.
It's a great DNA story, better than teeth, better than anything.
Which is inside the ear region and is incredibly dense. Now, the scientists were able to extract enough of the genome sequence, so the code that makes up a direwolf, that tells us this is what a direwolf looked like. And then they were able to find the most similar genetic code to the direwolf, which of course is the gray wolf. This is where it gets a little complicated.
What we do is we map all of our tiny little pieces of DNA to the wolf genome, right? And then we decide which of those differences that exist between gray wolf and dire wolf, because there are a lot of them, which of them are actually important to making a dire wolf look more like a dire wolf than like a gray wolf. We can't make all of the changes. Technologically, right now, it's not feasible. There would be many millions of changes that we would have to make in order to do all of it. So instead, we're using this gray wolf genome as a surrogate, a genomic surrogate, and then we're gradually cut and pasting our way using the tools of gene editing from a gray wolf to something that is much more dire wolf-like, our dire wolf, by selecting which bits of dire wolf are important to making a dire wolf, and adding those to the gray wolf genome.
However, it didn't just stop there. Learning that science and figuring out that genetic code was only the first piece of the puzzle. Next, they had to take that genetic material and do something called somatic cell nuclear transfer. It's essentially the same thing as cloning.
When people think about de-extinction, often the first thing they think of is cloning, this process that most famously brought us dolly and sheep. But cloning requires a living cell. And once an organism dies, there are no more living cells. As soon as death happens, all sorts of things collude to break down the cells and to break up the DNA inside those cells into smaller and smaller pieces until eventually there's nothing left. Once an animal dies, there is no way to bring an identical copy of that thing incredibly back to life.
Many of these embryos didn't become successful, but the ones that were successful were then surgically implanted into a surrogate dog. These dogs were specifically selected based on their size and their health to be able to essentially, within them, grow direwolf puppies, and thus Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi were born.
Domestic dogs are gray wolves. They're just relatively recently diverged evolutionary offshoots of gray wolves. And so this is
Keep my dog away from that
gray
shit.
wolf has become a surrogate to our dire wolf.
Okay, so because of the genetics of all dogs,
I'll keep my dog away
they
from
have
that
a
shit.
percentage of wolfiness in them, you're able to develop puppies inside of just a common dog species that when they come out will look like and eventually grow into a modern day dire wolf.
I'm going to go as far and say that dogs don't have a percentage of wolfiness.
Okay.
Dogs are wolves.
Dogs are wolves. Which is, okay, I'm going to come back to that in a second. So,
They're special wolves.
Yeah, they're
domesticated wolves.
Domesticated wolves. Hopefully that helps make sense of taking genetic material, breaking it down, figuring out the code, putting it in a cell, putting it in a dog, and boom, you've got a dire wolf pup. Guys, I know this sounds like science fiction, but it is science fact. And Colossal Biosciences has successfully pushed the limits of genetic editing and has brought us back the dire wolf, which essentially is going to set up the future of conservation, ensuring that species don't necessarily ever go extinct again. That is a pretty big accomplishment right there. One other really cool thing that Colossal Biosciences did is they partnered with the American Humane Society. So the surrogate dogs that carry the dire wolf pups now have forever homes. So these dogs, which are kind of kept private at the moment, are incredibly special because they are the very first animals that have been able to carry an extinct species and successfully bore it back into life, which kind of crazy to wrap your brain around, but I just want everybody to know that the dogs that actually birth these dire wolf pups are in good homes and in good hands. So once they had figured out the genome editing and they successfully were able to impregnate a surrogate dog, the success rate thus far has been 3 dire wolves. Romulus and Remus, who are both about 6 months old now, and Khaleesi. She is the female. Romulus and Remus are brothers. You can see, if you know wolves, you can see a bit of the difference. A thicker coat, especially up on their backs. Bigger legs, a little bit more stocky. One of the differences between the dire wolf and the gray wolf is a bigger, stockier body structure and head. The skulls were just a little bit bigger on a dire wolf than they are a gray wolf. Wow. I am looking at the first 2 dire wolves that were brought back from de-extinction. And they are only half grown at this point. That's what's wild. Currently, Romulus and Remus weigh around 85 pounds. They predict that they will be close to 150 pounds when fully grown. So they're a little bit bigger than a gray wolf technically, but not that much bigger. It's not like you've got Ghost or some of the other wolves from Game of Thrones. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's really positive, and of course, this is not the Jurassic Park scenario. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, is this that Ian Malcolm moment where the scientists were too preoccupied as to whether or not they could? They didn't stop to think whether or not they should? This is not that. It's not extracting DNA from a mosquito, mixing it with frog DNA, and bringing back a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
There is no DNA for dinosaurs preserved. One of our top advisors, Kenneth Lacavara, who discovered Dreadnoughtus, he has found ways to demineralize bones where you get basic amino acids, right? But you know, it's not like we're getting big chunks of DNA or whatnot. It's just not preserved, right? Right now, we can go back a little over 1 million years, but that's a big jump from 1 million years to 65 million years. So it's not just DNA degradation rate, but it's also just fossils. Like, that DNA doesn't exist, it's just rock, right? And you cannot get DNA from rock.
Now, for those of you that think we're going to have packs of dire wolves running across the United States, let me first just dispel that myth. That is not what Colossal Biosciences' intention is. These wolves are all going to be living on a very expansive ecological preserve. Over 2,000 acres where these wolves will get to live the way that wolves do. But the intention is not to create packs of dire wolves. It was to prove that de-extinction is possible. I personally think it would be amazing if we did not have species disappearing off the face of the planet due to human impact. Species do go naturally extinct all the time, but it's the ones that we specifically have driven to the brink that
No,
end up
I am
being the
not.
most catastrophic stories. I think it's companies like Colossal Biosciences who are using these advancing genetic technologies, along with media and along with moments like the direwolves being brought back from extinction, that really create a positive narrative for the future of conservation. The entire goal of this direwolf project is to bring attention to the American red wolf and how these animals are on the brink, yet with these technologies, we are finding a way to prevent their extinction as we move forward. What do you guys think about it? What would it be like if we lived in a world where animals were no longer going extinct?
When you look at the world of synthetic biology, I think that we are at the very doorsteps of it, right? And so I think that the technologies that not just Colossal, but many other labs are developing will change everything from human healthcare to de-extinction to conservation. So I don't know what the limitations of synthetic biology is, but I do believe that there'll be some end state to the technology where we can almost have like the CAD software of biology, where we can engineer, anything. That doesn't mean we should engineer everything, but we will have that. We as humanity will have those capabilities. And I just think that it will be the most transformative technology that humanity may ever possess is kind of the power over the genome.
Now, if you've got your thoughts and opinions, I certainly encourage you to write in the comments section below. We'll do our best to answer as many of those questions as we possibly can. Now, I certainly encourage you to go follow Colossal Biosciences' social media links and specifically their YouTube. After completing a
From streamers receiving donations calling 911.
What the to call 911?
What the is going on? Dude! Oh my god! What? How are you controlling my phone?
To streamers getting in serious trouble because of their chat.
Give me some candy, you dusty.
Can I finish it?
Here are 15 times streamers got disturbing donations, starting with the time when Speed received a free.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know is performance and durability go right along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again.
Bet you didn't know this about your favorite streamers.
Rigorous testing to ensure our tools perform
Let's learn some shit.
and stand the test of time without testing your wallet. Now, it's time for you to put us to the test.
You're gonna be disgusted when you find out some stuff.
For less at Harbor Freight.
Freaky donation, but what made things even crazier is that he actually played along with it.
Let me know. It is great.
Andrew took $1. Hello, Stinky Boy. I hope you have an amazing stream.
Hey.
I am stroking my to you right now. Please don't move. I'm about to bust.
But things took an even crazier turn when Ice Poseidon was actually swatted and received bomb threats, all because of his chat and fans acting recklessly.
Yeah. Of course.
Is this too, or was it just yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it too. You lost it all electronics.
He even ended up in the news over the incident, expressing how sorry he was for his fans' outrageous behavior.
Police say somebody called in a threat against the plane, which flew from Los Angeles to Phoenix tonight. New right now, an online personality, somebody who streams video online, says it was a bomb threat and it was a prank. He says he was the target.
So this was the man who was taken off the plane, Paul DeNeo. ABC 15's John Erickson talked to him over the phone just in the last 15 minutes.
I felt really bad for everybody on the plane because they just had to sit there because of this guy who called. Like, he called in and said that I had a bomb on the plane. That's what he said. Like, he was pretending to be me.
If somebody's willing to do that on a plane, what stops them from doing it again at DreamHack? You know what I mean? Like, it scares me, dude. Like, it's scary, dog.
Following up, streamer Saucekill activated a text-to-speech feature in a library and let his entire chat take control via donations. Let's just say things went exactly as you'd expect.
Oh, who's gonna come clean this up? Oh my god, who's gonna come?
I have a bomb.
Now you see now you see why you can't say outlandish things, because if I'm out in public, I could get in trouble with it.
Who are the strongest bladers of every art in the middle seat? So I'm at the flea market.
This is the last film footage.
Hi. Oh yeah, I'm there. It's just that I'm looking at my TV right now.
This is the last recorded of the fight. Known as the Tasmanian tiger, a now extinct apex predator that was once widespread over continental Australia, extending.
And plus,
to New
there's a lot of
Zealand
people in
and
the
South
chat, so I have to
Tasmania.
kind of,
You might be thinking that it sort of just looks
keep an
like
eye
a
on the
big
chat.
dog, weighing between 30 and 60 pounds, or 13 and 27 kilograms, and standing at around 2 feet or 0.6 meters
So if I don't
shoulders.
see
the Thylacine was a formidable dog-shaped
what you're
hunter.
saying,
But
it's
the reality
because
is,
all of
there's
you
nothing
are
else on Earth like the Thylacine.
typing
It
at
was
the
one of
same
the largest
time,
carnivorous
and
marsupials to ever live, far more closely related to a kangaroo than
that's
to a
why.
dog. Its gaping jaws could open to an unsettling degree, and its long snout helped it snatch and hold on to prey. Unlike wolves or big cats, the Thylacine
So
has
yes,
stiff,
I am
kangaroo-like gait and may have even been
live.
capable of short bipedal hops. In some of the film footage, you can see it standing upright on its hind legs, using its tail
But
for balance.
if you
Something
want to
almost
actually
unheard of in large carnivores. And
be a
yet,
part
the
of
similarities
a
with
better
their sharp
fucking
teeth,
chat, sis,
powerful jaws,
well, I
elongated
am live
snout,
more
and
often.
general body form between thylacines and canines
It's
isn't
probably
possible
best
to
if you
deny.
join my
Scientists
Twitch,
consider the convergence
which
of
it has the
apex
same name
predators
as my
one of the most striking
YouTube.
examples on record. But despite its apex predator status,
Ugh.
After completing a non-stop Ben 10 marathon, I'm all out of popcorn, and Ben Tennyson is all out of the... 200.
Come on, Stretch.
I built a full metal bouncing Captain America shield, but now it's indestructible and can...
You see? I'm on my console.
Final destination. Bloodlines in theaters May 16th. Rated R.
Pretzel crust is back.
Oh, that's fucked.
From a cruel, heartless prank that left everyone in shock to a music video featuring an alleged PDF file. These are just a couple of the many YouTube videos that were so bad they had to be erased from the internet.
Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we'll be going over YouTube's most infamous deleted videos, why they disappeared, and what happened next. And as you'll see by the end of this video, not all of these videos deserve to be nuked off the platform. That being said, the first video on our list shouldn't have been uploaded in the first place. I'm of course talking about the worst video Logan Paul ever posted onto the internet, featuring a certain forest in Japan. But what most people forget is that he was being an obnoxious prick even before the big controversy. You see, back in 2017, Logan was one of the most popular YouTubers on the planet. He had millions of fans who watched every video he uploaded, regardless of its contents. This made him feel invincible, believing that he could do or say anything and not face any consequences, which also explains his unhinged behavior when he visited Japan in December of that year, where he went around being a complete racist.
Tokyo is a real-life cartoon.
Causing chaos in public.
Don't mind me. Some American pants coming down.
And harassing locals with a plush Pokeball.
Toyota, I choose you. No. Gotcha, bitch. He's gonna catch you. Here, get him. I'm gonna get him.
While the video of him being a complete arse in Japan still received millions of views, some people were not happy with his antics one bit, with comments like, "In the future, there'll be a picture of Logan Paul next to the word douchebag in all dictionaries," and "I feel like he's taking advantage of the Japanese people's kindness, and therefore thinks he can do whatever he wants. This is disgusting." What these people didn't know at the time was that things were about to get a whole lot worse. On December 31st, 2017, Logan uploaded a video titled, "We found a tree in the Japanese blank forest." Its thumbnail also showed what looked to be a person hanging from a tree. People clicked onto this video hoping that it was just clickbait, and unfortunately, it wasn't. While trekking through the infamous forest, Logan and his team went off track.
When you find like a dead body, you immediately leave.
Everything. The video instantly went viral.
You don't joke about that shit.
And amassing over 6 million views in under a day. However, before Logan had the chance to celebrate its success, the whole thing blew up in his face. The backlash to this video was immense and swift, with a petition calling for his ban getting over 720,000 signatures. Logan responded by deleting the video completely, but the damage was already done. A couple days later, he also posted an apology, titled, "So sorry."
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize. So what we came across that day in the woods was obviously unplanned. The reactions you saw on tape were raw, they were unfiltered.
This wasn't as well as he might have hoped, but it was good enough to give him a second chance at YouTube. Fast forward to 2025, and Logan is still widely hated for the Japanese forest video, as well as his many controversies since, like robbing millions of dollars from his viewers with a crypto scam. Though unlike Logan, who's still a controversy magnet to this day, this next YouTuber pulled off a complete redemption arc. PewDiePie is one of the most popular YouTubers in history. To give you an idea of just how popular, in December 2016, he became the first YouTuber to hit 50 million subscribers. He was also making tens of millions of dollars from brand deals with massive companies like Disney. He was on top of his game. However, just a month later, he did something so stupid it could have easily ended his career. It all stemmed from his desire to continue upping the entertainment value of each new upload, all to keep his massive audience happy. While looking for video ideas, he came across Fiverr, a website where people would do random tasks for small amounts of money, and one of them caught his interest.
But my favorite is your message on, where these guys, for example, will paint your message on my body and dance in the jungle.
Felix thought it would be funny to request the most outrageous phrase he could think of, and came up with this.
Sign to behold. Death
you off. While I can't show the full phrase as it's highly offensive and YouTube would ban this video, it mentioned a certain religious group. He likely thought that the request would simply get rejected due to its shocking nature. Unfortunately, the Indian boys running this gig didn't fully understand the gravity of the message Felix asked for, and went through with his request.
I paid for this. What? What's with the Christmas? I like the editing.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
The situation was perfectly summed up by a viewer's comment, reading, "I love the shock and horror on his face when they unrolled that paper, like he couldn't believe they actually did it. It was obviously a joke, he didn't think they were actually going to do it." Felix uploaded this video in January of 2017, expecting everyone to laugh at the lengths some people will go to for money, but it backfired spectacularly. News outlets jumped to the story, labeling him as an anti-Semitic nut. This resulted in him getting dropped from Disney. Google also put the production of his YouTube original show, Scare PewDiePie, on hold, and removed him from the preferred partner program. Most importantly, Felix's name became synonymous with anti-Semitism online, a sentiment that some people still echo to this day. Of course, many people were also on Felix's side, with this comment gaining over 9,000 likes, stating, "I'm Jewish and I laughed so hard at this. Shame the media doesn't get jokes." As for Felix himself, he initially tried to fight back against these claims, stating that sites like Wall Street Journal took out the section of context to paint him as something he's not. But eventually, he accepted that what he did was wrong, even if it was intended as nothing more than a joke. He deleted the video containing the offensive sign alongside his video criticizing the news outlets, and apologized, stating, "I am in no way supporting any kinds of hateful attitudes. I think of the content I create as entertainment, and not a place for any serious political commentary.
Same.
I know my audience understands that, and that is why they come to my channel. Though this was not my intention, I understand that these jokes were ultimately offensive." Now, he did have another major controversy in September of 2017 for saying the N-word during a stream, which he apologized for as well. However, he has learned his lesson since, and is now living a controversy-free life in Japan with his wife and son. That said, while his actions can be considered wrong, they were mostly harmless in the grand scheme of things, especially compared to the next video, which was taken
I said a
down
lot
for putting a
of
man
shit,
through
but I've
extreme
learned from it.
psychological torture. Samuel Nicholas Pepper, better known as just Sam, started his YouTube journey back in 2010 after getting booted from the Big Brother UK TV show.
Hey, JC, we stopped this about 20 minutes ago. Now shut the fuck up. Right, here we go.
You're so rude, Sam.
Sam, that's really unhelpful.
He was one of the early pioneers of prank videos on YouTube, with relatively tame pranks, like making people slightly uncomfortable in an elevator.
This is cozy. Should we all have a group hug, everyone? How do you feel about that? Group hug? No? Sorry, guys, I've just farted.
But as time went on, more and more people started making similar prank content on YouTube. This increased competition forced Sam to amp up the intensity of his pranks, just to stand out from the crowd. And it didn't take long for his pranks to escalate from harmless fun to borderline harassment, like terrifying unsuspecting strangers with fake insects, or trying to hold hands with random women on the street. However, this constant escalation reached its peak on the 29th of November 2015, when he uploaded a video titled "Killing Best Friend Prank." The video featured two Vine creators, Sam Goldbach and Colby Brock, who were very close friends in real life. Sam wanted to show how a person would react if their best friend died right in front of them. To make this happen, he convinced Colby to work with him in pranking Goldbach. He then invited the two to a predetermined location for a quote meeting. And
try that shit with me.
Planned, Colby stopped the car in that location and pretended something was wrong with it. Whoa, what are you doing? I'm not doing that. The two then got out of their car and started looking under the hood to find the supposed problem. However, seconds later, a person approached them from behind and put a black cloth on Goldbach's head and pinned him on the ground.
No. This thing right here is it, right? Holy crap.
Colby then helped this person tie Goldbach with duct tape before putting him in the car's trunk and driving off. The video then cut to a rooftop with Goldbach tied to a chair and Colby kneeling next to him. A masked figure removes Goldbach's hood to show him the face of his friend one last time. He then pulls out a fake gun and pretends to shoot Colby, who instantly falls to the ground. But from Goldbach's perspective, this is all real. He just lost his best friend and doesn't even know why. After a solid minute of Goldbach bawling his eyes out, Colby gets up and tells him that it's all a prank.
Sam, what? What the fuck? Sam, what? I thought you actually died. Dude, I'm sorry, man. Dude, no, I'm here. Dude, I actually thought you died.
The video then ended with Sam doing an interview of the two to show that they're okay. However, while Goldbach might have been fine with the prank, the viewers, not so much. With one viewer writing, "The kidnapping vid went a little too far, but Sam saying he's everything I have made me cry a whole new ocean." Another simply wrote, "That wasn't a prank, that was psychological torture." Put simply, most people saw this prank as unnecessarily cruel and cold-hearted. They felt genuinely bad for the extreme mental torment Goldbach was put under, resulting in Sam getting backlash from every corner of the internet.
There was absolutely no humor in it. Not at all. If you actually found humor in this, you probably don't get out very often.
I hate this video. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Viewers also started a petition for YouTube to terminate Sam's whole channel, which received over 220,000 signatures. Even the hacktivist group Anonymous got involved and told Sam to take down the video, or they will unleash hell on him. Things were looking bad for Sam. But instead of listening to the harsh criticism from around the internet, Sam decided to double down. He launched a GoFundMe campaign stating that he would take the video down if he gets $1.5 million in donations. Eventually, the pressure became overwhelming, leading him to wipe his entire channel. Not just this video, but all of them. In his later apology, he also revealed something that made viewers even more mad. According to Sam, the whole thing was fake. Goldbach knew it was a prank the whole time and was just acting. Goldbach and Colby also confirmed this in an interview a few months later.
Most people don't believe me that was acting. They're still like, oh, he got traumatized, that was real. But I had tried to work on making myself cry for like 3 weeks before that.
However, many viewers did not buy this one bit. They're convinced that Goldbach was lying since his supposed acting felt a bit too real, with comments like, "Despite Sam saying he knew the whole time, he isn't that good of an actor. There is no way an average YouTuber could pull off that level of raw panic and emotion. He thought his friend was dead, and there's no way Sam was in on it. His reaction was genuine and real as f***. I feel like he's only saying that because he didn't want Colby to get all the hate. Regardless of its authenticity, it still marked the end of Sam's career. He tried rebranding himself with vlogs and stuff on multiple occasions, but failed every time. He's now spending his days as a somewhat successful TikToker whose viewership fluctuates between a few 100,000 views to just a couple thousand views per video. As cruel and heartless as Sam's prank was, at least his targets were adults. The next YouTuber, however, had no such restraint, pulling equally cruel pranks on his own young children without a second thought.
That is fucked. Put him in jail.
Michael and Heather Martin started their family YouTube channel called Daddy05 in 2015, with a description that read, "We as a family..."
That is fucked. I'm gonna say that, chat. You don't put kids in danger. Something my guys tell me that is not a good idea.
Decided to make this YouTube channel just for fun, and for a while, that's all there was to it, with the couple and their 5 children simply hanging around the house, playing with each other, and being wholesome all around. This resulted in the channel gaining over 750,000 subscribers and more than 176 million views. Now, you would think that this level of success would be enough to satisfy the Martin couple. Sadly, it wasn't long before their thirst for views outweighed the love for their own children. They realized that the more shocking a video was, the better it performed, so they started performing cruel pranks with their kids. These often involved yelling at them for extended periods of time, making them break down in tears before revealing that it was all just a prank, like the video titled "Invisible Ink Prank." Epic Freakout, in which Heather poured ink that turns invisible after a while on the carpet and then pretended like it was the son Cody's fault.
The video starts with a Maryland mother holding a bottle of magic disappearing ink.
I'm gonna
Think that verbally abusing their children is considered a quote prank and legitimately see nothing wrong with it? How can you be so evil? After getting overwhelmed by the backlash, they tried to apologize for their mistakes and even went on national TV to plead their case. However, it was too little too late. The authorities were already investigating the couple, and in May of 2017, custody to their two youngest children, Emma and Cody, was returned to their biological mother. But that wasn't all, because just 4 months later, the two were also arrested. The court found Mike and Heather guilty of child neglect charges, and they were sentenced to 5 years of supervised probation, which also prohibited them from making any social media posts of their kids, essentially ending their online career. In July 2018, YouTube also stepped in, deleted all their videos, and banned the channel permanently. They've since tried to make a comeback with a channel named The Martin Family, but judging by the views, I'd say that a comeback isn't happening anytime soon. However, most people can agree that the deletion of all Daddy05's videos was completely justified, but for this next case, the outrage might have been a little overblown. You see, while Dream is still one of the most popular Minecraft YouTubers on the planet, his popularity from 2020 to 2022 was on a whole nother level. Everything he did was an immediate success, and this included his venture into the world of music. For instance, Dream released his song Mask in May of 2021, and it only took the song 7 days to hit over 10 million streams. The overall reception to the song was also quite good, with tweets like, "I'm so proud of Dream. Mask is so good and his vocals improved so much. Oh god, banger song." And Mask by Dream was playing in the gym. Life is good, getting thousands of likes. Some fans even made fan art of the song to show their appreciation. However, these positive reactions lasted barely over 2 weeks before everything came crashing down. This is because, on May 30th, Dream finally admitted to accidentally cheating during a speedrun despite denying the allegations for months. This confession alone sparked a massive wave of backlash, causing many to turn their backs on anything Dream related, including his new song. Dream tried to salvage the situation by posting the song's music video a week later. Unfortunately for him, this only made the situation worse. For starters, the video looked way uglier than anyone could have imagined. The character in the video had a creepy, uncanny valley face, and the whole thing looked cheap and unfinished. However, the bigger issue people had was with its messaging. The video showed his character throwing away a box of medication labeled as normal pills, and looking at a doctor's note saying, "You are not normal." Even though these scenes were based on Dream's own experiences with ADHD and its medication, many were not happy about this corny depiction in the music video. They saw these scenes as condescending towards doctors who just want to help their patients with mental illness, with one popular tweet on the matter stating, "Hey Dream, what's the message behind throwing out the normal pills?" and basically implying that if you have a mental illness, do not seek medical help because it's quote bad. Really weird message to say F medication for any form of mental illness basically. Even if unintentional, it's extremely effing strange and damaging. If people need help, they need help, and calling a medication normal pills effing lessens someone's struggle with mental illness. Put simply, Dream was getting flamed from all sides and there was nothing he could do. Ultimately, the backlash on the video got so bad that he decided to private the music video just a month after its original release. A similar thing happened to another music video from a popular YouTuber, but the reason behind this one was a whole lot more sinister. Jaden Animations is one of the largest animation storytime channels on YouTube, with over 14 million subscribers and more than 2.8 billion views. However, despite its success, this channel remained faceless for many years. Then, in April of 2017, Jaden posted a video explaining why she hasn't done a face reveal yet. In this video, she revealed that one of the main reasons she stayed anonymous for so long was because she had been suffering from a severe eating disorder. She would starve herself to the point of passing out, eat something to relieve the pain, then quickly purge it all to avoid gaining any weight. Fortunately, she also revealed that she was now in a much healthier place. A year after this video, she also posted a music video called Empty to spread further awareness about eating disorders. This video went extremely viral, amassing over 27 million views over the next 2 years. But then, in September of 2022, the music video vanished from YouTube without a trace, leaving fans confused about what happened. However, unlike the deleted videos we've looked at so far, far, this one wasn't Jaden's fault in any way, shape, or form. Instead, the reason behind its disappearance was the person featured in the video as a co-creator, Dave from Boy in a Band. I've already done a full video covering Dave's situation in detail, but if you haven't watched that video, here's a summary of what happened. On the 7th of September 2022, several disturbing allegations against Dave came out, including his medication abuse, porn addiction, and alleged disgusting interest in minors. It was also accused of being extremely toxic and manipulative in his relationships. Dave never responded to these allegations or denied them in any way, leaving viewers to think they were likely true. So from